What's going on YouTube? It's Chris from Out West with Chris, and today I want to talk to you about Alpha Outpost. I just finished up my year subscription of Alpha Outpost, and I'm going to give a rundown of what that year was like and speculate on what's to come for Alpha Outpost. This is going to be a long video, and it's going to be a two-parter, folks. There's just so much to talk about. As many of you know, I signed up for Alpha Outpost a year ago, and when I did, I made a commitment to my channel that I would review an entire year of Alpha Outpost. So I've got all 12 boxes. It's been an interesting year. It's been a little bit bumpy here and there, and now we're going to take a fond look back at the year that was Alpha Outpost's first year. If you just subscribed or are thinking about subscribing to Alpha Outpost, I've got a ton of resources for you to do your research on. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe, and I'm not going to tell you not to. I probably am not going to tell you not to. So I'm going to let you make up your own decision. I have a playlist on my channel for all 12 unboxings. You can watch those and make up your own mind. You know, subscription boxes are all the rage right now. There's a ton of subscription boxes that target guys. It's become a pretty big industry. There's quite a few out there. There's a Pocket Box, there's Tac Pack, Never Enough Tactical or Net. Battle Box, of course, is probably the biggest, and I'd say best, subscription box for survival type of gear. One of those boxes is Prepper Gear Box, and back in September 29th, they tweeted, let me read this, "We must report that we are closing down Prepper Gear Box. This was not an easy choice, but due to family and yada yada yada, they were closing down," right? So there was quite a bit of buzz in the subscription box community about that. And I had a friend that was kind of following this closely because he was a subscriber to Prepper Gear Box, and he later on in October got an email saying, "Hey, we've got a new partner. We're excited to report that we won't be closing, we'll be reopening, and you know, lots of good stuff to come." So I was kind of interested, and so were quite a few people that I interact with on the BattleBox forums, and one guy called it and said, you know, "I bet you it's Alpha Outpost." So it turns out that Alpha Outpost has partnered or bought or something, I don't know the details, Prepper Gear Box. So if you're a subscriber to Prepper Gear Box, you're going to want to watch this video because it now pertains to you. That could be good, it could be bad. I really don't know. So let's rewind to last year, fall of 2015. I started seeing advertisements on Facebook and, you know, started hearing about Alpha Outpost. And I was kind of excited about this box to get started. One of those reasons was it was, you know, veteran owned. It seemed like a fair price at 40 bucks a month. The way it was sold was that it was going to be gear to help you survive just a multitude of situations. And I also learned through the process of, you know, deciding whether or not to sign up that it was the guys who were behind Grunt Style. And for those of you who don't know, Grunt Style is primarily an apparel company, but they're very successful and they make great stuff. They've got really, you know, cool designs, good quality shirts and other apparel, and you know, they're a good company. So I thought, okay, really successful company, branching out, gonna be doing something a little bit different. This should go well, is what I thought. And I thought 40 bucks a month, you know, you probably get 4 or 5 things that are really awesome. Should be some good things in this box. The first box had quite a few items in it, and some of them were they were okay. The one thing I noticed that like the hard gear, not the food bars that were in there, but the hard gear didn't have markings to really signify what company had made them. And that was something that bothered me right off the bat, and it grew to be an extreme pet peeve of mine. The reason why it bothered me is because if it was an item that I liked, an individual item, whether it was that knife that was in the first box, whether it was the ferro rod and striker in that box, if it was something I liked, I didn't know how or where I could go to order that item to maybe give it to a friend or have a second one or anything like that. One of the main things about subscription boxes is they're a way for companies to get their items out in front of a ton of people. It's exposure. That's what makes BattleBox so successful. They'll partner up with a company. That company gives them a discounted rate because they're buying a huge amount, and it's basically advertising for that company. So they get a discounted rate. They get a ton of these items. They ship them out to their subscribers, and now that company that provided the item, they get all of this exposure, okay? So people will say, oh, this is a really cool sleeping pad. Maybe I want a full sleeping pad though. I don't want the 3/4 one. This looks like good gear. Let me get on their website and purchase. So it allows companies to get in front of new customers that, could become long-term customers. That's not how Alpha Outpost operates at all. The knife that we got in that first box is right here. So as you can see, the sheath is crappy on this thing. The end of the knife just cut right through it. But anyways, so here's the knife. There's not a single marking on it. It doesn't even say what kind of steel it is, where it's made, who made it, anything like that. Through some sleuthing and tips from my viewers, it was determined that it's most likely a Gerber warrant, or based off of the Gerber warrant design. So for me, box one was kind of a flop. I was a little bit frustrated with the first box. Then box two came out, and box two was the gentleman, and there were some cool items in there. There were a lot of items that I actually use still. Two of those are the tumblers and the whiskey stones. And the whiskey stones have worked great. They're still cold. I just got them out of the freezer, but these are pretty cool. Each one of them has an Alpha Outpost logo on it that's kind of rubbing off at the moment. There were a few other items in that box that I used too. And overall, I thought the gentleman box was put together very nice. And it was one of the things that kind of drew me to Alpha Outpost that I liked about them, that it wasn't just like wilderness survival type stuff. They had gear for guys for different situations. So one theme that started to emerge with the gentleman box was the branding of Alpha Outpost logos on a lot of the items that were coming in the boxes. And it wasn't something that really bothered me at that point, but it did become a major issue for me. Major issue. The third box was the Vega, and the Vega, they came out with the Vega, I think either right before or right after BattleBox did a vehicle survival box. And to me, there was one item that was truly a decent item, and those were the road triangles. Those road triangles were actually pretty nice, and they are something that I carry in my car in case of an emergency. They're compact, they stow really well, they're lightweight, and they were one of the cheaper items in the box. There was also a beanie that I've kept and I use. The tools that were in it were pretty cheap. The fuses, there's really no use for the fuses. It was kind of a wasted space type deal. So that box was kind of a disappointment. And then the fourth box I thought was pretty awesome, and it was the medic box. So at this point, I had received a box that I thought was subpar, a box that I thought was nice, a box again that I thought was subpar, and then the medic box. So the medic box came, And it came at the same month that BattleBox was doing a medic box. And I really questioned the wisdom behind that. And I know they planned these things out in advance, so maybe they had no clue. But they knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, with their medic box. The way that they had the packages separated, this is the emergency airway pack, but they had them separated into different issues that you would come up with. And they were sealed, vacuum sealed, and they had the fast action use, you know, the contents and how you would use them. And I thought it was really cool. I thought that that was smart, how they put it together. I thought that the items that were in the box were of fair value. And that's not to say that they're listed MSRP was accurate. I thought that that was pretty far off. But I thought you got $40 worth of gear, at least, in the box. And they did a good job. And when you compared their $40 box to the $25 level subscription of BattleBox and even the $50, so the basic and the advanced, I felt like their $40 subscription was on par with the advanced box from BattleBox. There was kind of different gear in there, but overall I thought that they were pretty close. Again, like I was like, okay, great, this is awesome. Alpha Outpost is stepping it up. Perfect. I was stoked about it. I was happy. And I thought that it signaled, a resurgence in their quality. And then I was let down. So the 5th and the 6th box were the barbecue and chill, I think. And then the 6th box was the hostage survivor box. So I thought the barbecue and chill had a few useful items in there, but overall it was pretty cheap quality stuff. Like there wasn't really anything that stood out like, oh wow, these are great. The gloves, I used those. I still do for grilling and stuff, and they're just a silicone glove, and they do a pretty good job of not getting your hands burned when you're handling stuff around a grill. So that's a positive. The other items, again, it was all stuff that, you got with an Alpha Outpost logo on it. And it started to bug me. It really started to feel like it was all stuff that they bought from a promotional marketing company and just slapped their logo on it. Following that box was the Hostage Survivor box. And in my opinion, that box was a total disaster. And I know they teamed up with a fairly reputable company on that box, but oh my gosh, it was a lot of kind of crappy items and stuff that you just probably are never, ever gonna use. Maybe I'm a little bit harsh. It was pretty bad, and I think that they lost quite a few subscribers during that whole process. It was pretty bad. Their 7th box was the DOP kit, and the DOP kit, I got some use out of it. There were some okay items in there, and one of those items is the little carrying case. And I travel quite a bit. This has already got some pretty heavy use out of it. When I go camping or just traveling, all of my toiletries and stuff go in here, and yeah, I needed a new bag for that type of thing, so it was put right into use, like almost immediately. One thing that you'll notice is they have that whole Alpha Outpost thing, and then they had a spot for a patch, and I think they sent a patch too. So what, you're supposed to stick an Alpha Outpost patch above an Alpha Outpost sewn in logo, or not even sewn in, but a logo. I used the soap in there, and that was cool because it was an item from a company that got put into a box, and there might be a time in the future where I go to Duke Cannon and order some of that soap again. I'm, mostly an Irish Spring type guy, but you never know. It was a big freaking bar of soap. I used it. Yeah, that's cool. So, box number 8. The Patriot. I was looking forward to that box when it was announced, the theme was announced. Then I got it and I opened it and I was almost disgusted. Like, nothing screams patriotism like a bunch of Chinese made marketing stuff. And it really bothered me. And it became really apparent that Alpha Outpost was just buying cheap shit, putting their logo on it, sticking it in boxes. And it became really, really frustrating. And the fact that they themed all of that around the 4th of July and patriotism, you know, it just felt like, it felt dirty in a way. You know, knowing that all of this stuff that was in here was, you know, supporting Chinese companies, really. The Bro Bible sunglasses, the Wayfarers. I guess if you're a college kid, plastic sunglasses are freaking cool. But I mean, come on. This is like, this is stupid. I felt bad for subscribers that had signed up based on my prior reviews. Like, I felt like a jackass. And, you know, I wasn't really outwardly saying, oh yeah, this is great, like some folks on YouTube were. I was saying, okay, here's what's in here. You know, if you think that this is a good option for you, go to the website, check it out. When I got the Patriot and after I reviewed it, I started getting comments like, you know, a lot of pretty negative stuff. Like people saying, you know, that I was promoting a bunch of crap and this and that. And I felt like I was trying to do my best to just be an observer and present it. And not really try to tell people, hey, you need to go get this, or tell people, hey, stay away. And I think if anything, I was probably more towards the, hey, you probably want to stay away from this stuff side of things. It also was a time when a lot of folks who were unboxing the Alpha Outpost box started like disappearing and canceling their subscriptions and, you know, filming rants and stuff like that against Alpha Outpost. And some of those were pretty epic. A guy named JC Life, who just changed his channel, had a pretty epic rant. I think his channel name is now SAC Survival. Anyways, he had a really epic rant against Alpha Outpost. Called me out on it, kind of. Or mentioned me, and it was kind of funny. And I kind of, you know, noticed that a lot of people were falling off.
This is specifically for you, okay? Now, look me in the eye, wholeheartedly, stop and listen to what I'm saying. You are terrible! Stop what you're doing immediately. Close your doors, shut down shop, and you're destroying the trust that they put in you. You are robbing from them, you are ripping them off, and you need to stop.
And I also noticed that some new people were starting up, and I kind of questioned whether or not these people were getting their boxes for free. Personally, I questioned that. I didn't really mention it on my videos because some of their reviews were just these glowing reviews of how awesome these boxes were, and you know, it was kind of funny. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh, am I seeing the same thing? It was a 2-second clip. It's not like they give it to me for free. So I didn't bring it up, I didn't talk about it. But now, like, I will talk about it. You can get this now for $5. What the fuck? You're screwing me, and then you're taking a picture of you screwing me and putting it on the internet.